Hi, this is Bart Everson, known to some folks as Editor B, especially around Bloomington, Indiana. When I came to Bloomington in the late 1980s, that's when I was introduced to the concept of what you might call grassroots media, or community-based media, or as I like to think of it, folk media. See, I was a student at Indiana University. I was particularly interested in folklore, the culture of the people. And it's through IU's famous Folklore Institute that I got connected to the local public access television station, now known as CATS, in the Monroe County Public Library. So I checked out some equipment, and my friend and I made a documentary about urinals. That's right, urinals. We called it Indiana Urinalysis. Well, after I graduated, I had nothing better to do with my time than to hang around town and cause trouble. So I got together with another friend and started making a cable access TV show called J&B on the Rocks. My friend Joe was J, the bartender, and I was B, the editor of the program. So you could say that he mixed the drinks and I mixed the video. So that's how I became known as Editor B. Now, WFHB was getting started around the same time, and I'd like to take credit for playing a role in getting the station on the air. But I can't, because I didn't do jack. But we all knew about it, and we were pretty excited by the prospect. With the Bloomington Voice Alternative Weekly, and a community television station, and a community radio station, not to mention all the zines and other crazy stuff flying around town at the time, well, it just seemed like Bloomington was entering a new era. Surely next people would rise up, throw off their chains, and really stick it to the man. Like instantiate an anarcho-communist revolution, a stateless, autonomous zone where everybody could just hang out and be free. Okay, so that didn't happen. But we were excited when WFHB finally went on the air on the 4th of January, 1993. I started listening almost immediately. And I can state that with some authority because it was documented on television. A brief clip appears in episode 25 of our community access television program, an amazing concatenation of events. As I drive across town, I punch up WFHB on the radio.
Yes, now we're listening to WFHB 91.3 FM. Community radio. We like it. We like it. So here we have a driving shot because we're in transition.
You can hear a snippet of La Casa en el Air by Bovea y sus Valentanos being played, perhaps part of Hora Latina, which would become a long-running series on the station. This was probably shot just that January, maybe just days or weeks after the launch. But the cross-promotion didn't stop there. WFHB sponsored a street dance that summer, organized by my friend and co-conspirator Eric White, later known as Eric Spears, later known as Eric Gordon. Well, anyway, my band, the Submersibles, played alongside Party of Enjoyment and local punk heroes, the Smears. And perhaps more significantly, a year later, along with Pizza Express and the Bloomington Voice, WFHB sponsored the party for the premiere of the pivotal third season of Rocks. Yes, we shortened the name. We dropped the J and B because this was a program about community, damn it, not just two guys. And Rocks became the first television series on the internet the following spring. And then it all kind of fell apart. But WFHB continued to thrive. I went back to grad school, but I found time to get involved, briefly, as director of the youth radio program in 1998. Wow. I guess that's why I'm here talking to you now. I don't remember much about that, so I must not have done too much. I think I was probably just trying to hold things together until someone more competent came along. But nevertheless, I saw the value of the concept. Youth voices on the radio? Hell yeah. Maybe our society wouldn't be so screwed up if we listened to young people more. I don't know. Just a thought. Oh, and a little something extra, in case anybody's still listening. As with so many things, My appreciation for WFHB increased when it was no longer so readily available. I moved to New Orleans way back in 1999, but on return visits to Bloomington, I always made a point of tuning in to WFHB. I was almost guaranteed to hear some New Orleans music when I did so. And sometimes I would even catch youth radio. The connection between my old home and my new was poignantly sanctified by WFHB in the aftermath of the floods of 2005. You might know it as Katrina. My wife and I evacuated to Bloomington with 3 cats and a couple changes of clothes. In early September, my old buddy Chad Carruthers interviewed me on WFHB for the daily local news program. Well, they weren't letting people back into New Orleans at that point, but I wangled a press pass from WFHB. With that and a camera from Cats, I was able to sneak in to the city with my friend and neighbor Michael Homan later that month. And that press pass wasn't just a ruse, by the way. I came back to Bloomington and did a longer interview with Chad for WFHB's Interchange program. We were able to return to New Orleans eventually and rebuild our lives there, but my love affair with Bloomington has never ended. After my daughter was born, I felt the lure of the place more strongly than ever, and I wrote about it. And I specifically cited WFHB as one of the reasons why. Sure, New Orleans has a legendary community radio station in WWOZ, which many folks at WFHB seem to know about and respect and even idolize, but to me, WFHB always meant more. In fact, I even began to fantasize about being a DJ on WFHB. Well, to bring it full circle, I'm now doing a radio series, Earth Eclectic, in collaboration with Laura Didolo, who is a DJ on WFHB. We're based on WHIV 102.3 FM in New Orleans, but we're syndicating, so who knows? I could be on WFHB someday. And I'd owe it all to youth radio. Well, kind of.